Do 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 do. Ba-da-da. How are you doing, everybody? We're just waiting for a few more people to come in. Welcome to the MACKEM review show. This is a new weekly feature on a Thursday, where we'll look back at what the fans have been saying, of what's been going on at the club, and look back at some of the headlines as well, what's been making people... How are you doing, everybody? Just waiting up. And this hot and muggy day as usual. Just gonna load up my content on my page as well. Well, there's been quite a lot going on. Just waiting for a few more to come. I'm not supposed to really start till 7, so I just thought I'd let a few people come into the chat. I've already had 4 votes. I've just put the second vote on. Do you Sunderland need more signings? Yes, 100%. No. I'm still quite cheesed off that we've still not got a striker yet, but we'll come to that. We'll come to that. Like I say, if you're just joining us, this is a new show, the MACKEM review show on a Thursday. Like I say, when we look back at what the fans have been saying, and I look back at the headlines the last week with Sunderland, because that's been quite a busy one, to say the least. There's always been some sort of headlines grabbing the attention of the fans. Elbong, how you doing, mate? First tonight, not too bad. Have you had a good day yourself? I've not long been finished work. These days absolutely flying. Not doing too bad at all. Busy as a bee. Busy as a bee. Oh, I do a show slightly earlier on a Thursday, 7 till 8, because it just gives me more time on the night as well. And it's nearly the weekend as well, if you have weekends off. And of course, we've got the Blackpool game to look forward to coming up. A few people coming in now watching. What is it again you do for work, Mr. Bong? What do you do? Ooh. How you doing, Andy? I'll give you a ring tonight, mate. I've been so busy, but I'll give you a tinkle tonight, fella, about the Blue Oyster Bar. I've been having a problem with PayPal as well at the minute, some security thing, but I'll have a crack on with you later about the fella. Oh dear me. Football transfers. Who have you signed for us then, mate? I've got 6 votes now and still 100% that Sunderland need more signings. Yep, I think we're all aware of that one, to be honest with you. Look at your stream chat when you get a chance. I put that thing in we was talking about. Oh, right. On Steam, yeah, I will, mate. I will have a look. Let's see, I've just walked through the door. But I'll check that out, Andy, mate. That's no problem at all. No bother whatsoever. Oh, dear. Let's wait a few moments before we get started. Yeah, any Sun and fan wondering who those pictures are? That's our new signings, aren't we? I hope he doesn't play with them rings and earrings in mind. That could be quite lethal then. And of course, we'll be chatting about it's still impossible to get hold of any football tops whatsoever. They just go, they fly off the shelves. Well, they're not even reaching the shelves, are they, to be honest with you? Getting ever nearer to the start of the football season and all, which is I cannot wait. Hopefully with a couple more signings to come yet, and that'll do me very nicely indeed, and a lot of other fans. So we might as well kick off the show a little bit earlier, and why not? So then we're going to start discussing what the fans thought of the 1-1 draw against Forest when we were in Spain. I nearly said a hard-fought point, but it's not really a hard-fought point. It's a friendly game. Thane says, in terms of work rate and commitment, he says, I can't fault the lads. He says, we frustrated a really good Forest side. The only disappointment is aside from the Clark penalty that Rusin headed near the end of the second half, we didn't really create much. Apart from that, we wanted to see performance, and we got it, so fair play to them. Man of the match for me was Chris Rigg against Forest, and also a shout to Dan Neil, which I can't really argue with that, to be honest with you, from Thane. And let's have a look what else. Ian Wallace says, interesting season ahead, thinking quite an even playing field. Great commentary, DJ. Always appreciate what you do, fella. Yeah, means a lot. Thank you very much. Billy G. Morgan says, Rigg looked excellent. And he did. And that was against like a Premier League sort of outfit as well. So, yeah, all good there. User says, I think that's Davey, isn't it? He says, hi, Cabby, you deserve your cool drink. I enjoyed your match commentary. Your streets ahead. Oh, no, it's not Davey. Hi, Cabby. You deserve a cool drink. I enjoyed your match commentary. Your streets ahead of BBC Alan Shearer. Loads of positives in the game. Chris Rigg showed he can play at Premier League standard already. Does that mean he'll get nicked as well pretty quick? Mayenda is just 19 and looks like a prospect. Hajeldi showed he could be a decent cover for Ballard at centre-back, and decent performances all round. Kudos to Dan Neil in his defensive midfield role as well. It sounds like we'll get Mendy after he said that Sunderland was his only choice when he heard about it. SAFC have issued a non-committal statement in response, but I think this is a tactical, so Khan don't try to ramp the fee up too much. It's great that he's keen to come to SAFC, he says. He looks like a goal-scoring striker to me and will help Mayenda and other strikers to progress. There's plenty of French lads, plus a manager, so he should settle in quite quickly. Over-opinionated, hello mate, welcome to the show. I hope you're well. Like I say, this is just a new feature of looking back of what the fans have been saying and some of the headlines too. We're just talking about the 1-1 draw against Forest and what the fans are saying about that. User says, good result for Sunderland today, drawing with a top Premier side Forest, onwards and upwards. So it's all positives when it comes back to the that Forest game. Right, so here we go again onto the next story that I posted, and this was Alexandra Mendy close to signing for Sunderland, and this is like, yeah, it's kind of irritating. I got quite a good response of that, like 2.34k views and 53 comments and stuff. This is what the fans are eager to get over the line. This Mendy character, and you know the echoes basically saying he's in Sunderland having a medical, and this medical happened 2 or 3 days ago. We just want it over the line if it is, because whether you like it or lump it, we need a striker like this, because we're in trouble if we don't. It's not rocket science. Jeff says straight away on the Mendy situation, KLD and Speakman are making Sunderland into a laughingstock. He says now they want over 20 million for Clark and 20 million for Ballard, but won't fork out another £500,000 for a proven striker, but pay over 1 million on Rusin, who can't score in a brothel. Well, that says it all, says Jeff. So I'm not a very happy Jeff there. Stephen Martin, and if anybody's wondering what this is just looking back on Alexander Mendy close to signing for Sunderland, of course, getting the fans' reaction on that. Stephen Martin says, I think this guy looks like just what we've been looking for. Powerful and strong, better than what we've got. Die Hall, you alright, mate? I read they want 4 million for Mendy. Well, get it. They just need to go and get him all. Are you alright, D Hall? Have you had a good day today? Anthony McLaughlin says, I really want to get excited about this, but my MACKEM sensors refuse to allow me. We paid like 1 million for Najee Rusin. Surely this lad's worth the same. Not more going on goals scored alone. El Bong's just basically saying in the chat there is more than Mendy out there. Media says Mandy wasn't at the Air Academy of Light. Yeah, and then the Sun and Echo says he's having a medical. I don't know. But yeah, you're alright in a way. You know, we can't just focus on that one player, and this is what we've got to look at. You know, that we've got to put the trust in KLD and Speakman and whatnot, that they're looking at other players as we speak. They have to. John's Bitten says, we have to sign this player. His power and quality goals from his heading and 6-yard box is very good. So now we are going to see for sure who is to blame if the lad does not arrive and sign. Yes, you've guessed it. It's Speakman and the owner. I'm with you, Cabby, he says. We have no more choice but to pay for this lad. We ain't going to get him for market-style prices. And, you know, and I keep on saying this, if Sunderland are wanting to push for the top 6, top 2, you're going to have to spend cash. There's no ways about it at all. The Timmy says that's obviously great news. Zab Frisco says, are we really? He says, just seems like reports are saying Sunderland are surprised by the player's comments. When he said he looking forward to medical, almost seems like Sunderland were distancing themselves a bit. Be great if it comes though. He says, I rate him. As another fan rates him as well. Davey Cork says on my YouTube, had a look on YouTube. Looks class. Fair enough. 2nd Division League, but the boy looks like a proper number 9. He can head a ball. Doesn't matter what league you're in. If you can score headers, you can score headers to be happy. Then we've got him. We've got to go for him, he says. And of course, he says that he wants to come. Malcolm Hobbs says this guy looks good. soon change that. And I think he's on about the fact like most decent players just seem to turn to crap when they come to Sunderland. But we've yet to see what Regis Labrie is made of. Michael says, "Are we signing a striker? Are we signing any strikers yet?" Well, still we haven't. That is hopefully on the way. Michael says, "I know YouTube goal compilations are going to make you look good, but I think he's on about the Mendy videos. I think, but I'm really fond of this potential signing." He says, "It doesn't look like he makes many big runs with the ball, but he makes a lot of one-touch finishes. With players like Roberts, Barr, Rusin, Ekwar and Dewey who can make fantastic runs into the box, but can't score for shite." There's a few people saying that. I think a player like him is the final jigsaw piece to this team's attacking ability. Having that threat in the middle also means that Clark isn't going to get marked out of the match, and he can really shine alongside him. Plus, he's a 30-year-old striker. It's exactly what we've been asking for. D Hall says, "Hi mate, I'm champion." User says, "This lad looks the real deal. Know where the net is and is a big unit. Could be a final piece. Get a young lone striker to play alongside him. Could be the business." And it's all that anticipation. So it's all good, positive vibes about the Alexander Mendy situation. And it sparked a lot of interest. Like I said, but we've been there so many times before. Players getting a medical and they keep going on about Mendy, and then you just don't hear anything for him for days and days on end. But it has to change. It has to change if we're wanting to get up that league. There's no questions about it. So on to the next post. Of course, Sunderland's last match in Spain was Eldense 1, Sunderland 2. And let's have some of the comments on here. I thought it was not a bad performance, to be quite honest with you. And Patrick says, "I'm here. Club really let us down," he says, "as they have no idea about logistics. I was there Friday." But he says the police were awful, taking sunscreen off you at the gate. It's not in Benidorm, it's 2 hours away, and I do Cardiff away, Swansea and the rest, etc. Sometimes 24 hours start to finish to back home. You had to experience how awful it was on Friday to understand. He's talked about the Spain when we're playing in Spain against Forest, I think. 150 fans today at the meet point in Benidorm didn't turn up because it was such a catastrophe on Friday. Not the away branch's fault in any shape or form, who organised the travel from Benidorm. They were ace as always. The club and players just don't give a flying crap. Players Friday didn't even want to come over to clap the fans at the final whistle, he says. That became 151 fans today, as I thought. F that, at 2:30 in Benidorm, he says, "I'd rather spend my hard-earned money getting absolutely hammered and than wasting my money going nothing but hassle going to the game." So interesting one there. Stephen Taylor says, "Did anyone note the time on the TV when the ref blew for full time, as it only had 86 minutes on the clock inside the ground?" I did not notice that, to be quite honest with you. I don't use Twitter. Says it was easy work. And we were talking about the Eldense game when we beat them 2-1. Thane says, "A fantastic strike by Semendo, yeah. He got us a win, and yes, it's only pre-season and it's mainly about fitness, but to be honest, for the majority of the game," he says, "I thought that we were absolutely awful," says Thane. He thinks we were awful. He says, "I know most of our main team were on the bench." He says, "But what it shows is that the majority of our backups are simply not good enough. Pembele, Higeldi, Benete, Matete, Embleton, Mundle and Rusin. Don't get me wrong, I do like Benete, and I feel sorry for the lad because he's not a left back, but right now he's still not good enough. The same with Rusin. He's got a good attitude and work rate, but he's simply not good enough. If we lose any key players and there's not replaced properly, then he says, God help us. Still think we need more quality in anywhere, because even our strongest starting 11 as it stands still isn't good enough for the top 6. It's time for this lot to get a move on. So a frustrated Thane there is a bit concerned with the current squad. They now put a post up a few days ago as well, stating that the fact we need more signings, KLD. You know, thinking like, don't just settle on literally next to nout, to be quite honest with you. And once again, the regular Thane, he comes up to the on the channel a lot. He's very active, which is great to see. And Thane says, let's have a look. Let's just have to load this up, and there we go. Once we get the Mendy deal done, he says, I think that it's before the Cardiff game. We might get the odd one or two after that. And potentially deadline day. But aside from Mendy, I can't see anything else at the moment. They've even said that we won't be doing as much business this summer. Michael Trainer says no more money left. Speakman needs his bonus. Peter Harvey says, take one day at a time. Never ever a dull moment at Sunderland Football Club. Ian Waller says, agree DJ. He says, need a few signings and possibly top end mid-table finish. Don't see playoffs happening. He doesn't see the playoffs happening, does Ian. Not wanting to sound too negative, he says, but this is still a young squad with some really good talent that will definitely get stronger with time. So long as they stay together, then I think they will, of course, progress. Yangadan says, surely you don't think we need more than 2 or 3. Still got over a month. Bring them in, he says. There's no need to worry. No need to panic. There's plenty of time. Jeff says, mark my words, we won't pay for Mendy. KLD and Speakman will not wait until January. Will wait till January and try to get him on a free. So Jeff says it's the same old there. Just Ray says, hey mate, we definitely need at least 3 more quality experienced players. As for this summer is waiting until I retire in 53 days time. Colcom says, we need to sell, release some players to get money in. We then have a good chance of getting in some better quality players. Kenneth says, mate, I hope he's going to buy at least 2 more, but Speak Manure is noted for his fork tongue. John's Bit says, can't see the lad signing for the club. I'm fed up with this Speakman. Our club is being strangled. We have no chance of being promoted, simple as that. So that's quite a negative statement from John there. We have no chance of getting promoted, he said, simple as that. And Bong says, let's just get behind the lads there. He says, Labrie and the club, first man, and when it's doom and gloom, we can all start the morning then. He says, we haven't even kicked off the season yet. He says, over a month to go in the window, so keep the faith, lads and lasses. We have to give Labrie time, and of course we will give Labrie time, I'm sure of that. Anthony says, if we get Mendy, that will be it for up to now, I think. He says then maybe 2 or 3 more players. That's it. Could be wrong. Just my opinion. User says, we need experience. Centre back. Another striker after Mendy. And a holding midfielder. But they won't, because this lot are kidding the fans. We just need rid of them. She said, simple as that. Dear boy says, summer's over. Well, sort of ish. Has it actually ever begun? That's what I'm trying to think of. He says, and our lads are in trouble. Going to be a tough all season. That's in our brains. It's not in the ownership plan. ready for relegation battle. Can't even beat Gateshead, he says, in the friendlies. So that's a concerned deal there. User says, what the hell? He says, Sunderland doing? Get this striker in. He says, my God, it's only another million. Could be the difference between making playoffs and not. You can't bet there will be bids for Clark and Ballard and maybe one or two others. So let's get in Mendy instead of messing about with other teams sniffing. Now, Leeds are looking at him. Now, get your finger out, KLD, or we're going to lose him. The Ferret says, same old story, cabby lad. He says, the bullshit still coming out of the Stadium of Light is mind-blowing, and the fans out there are falling for it again. He says, unbelievable. So he thinks the wool's getting pulled over our eyes. Stephen Thompson says, KLD should not be in charge of a club like Sunderland, probably South Shields. So quite mixed bag there. So on to my next one, which was, of course, Sunderland to sign Ian Pervader. That was rumours when we were. And of course, obviously now we have got him. But this is what the fans were saying, that we were potentially going to be getting him. And he says, Peter says, we need Mendy in and another experienced striker and a centre-back. Razzle Clark says, never heard of the lad, but it's a bit odd to have been to so many clubs and not cemented a place in any of them. Saul Smith says, he did well at Sheffield Wednesday, but he's had a few injury problems for a free transfer. He is worth a shot. Yorkshire Mackem, how you doing, mate? Are you well? Are you keeping well, mate? You're welcome to jump on live with us if you want, mate. It's up to you. Or if you're busy, it's entirely up to you, my good fellow. I don't know what you've got planned. Anyway, where am I? Oh, yeah. Thane says, if this is true, then it's an interesting one, because he's naturally a winger, and that's not really a priority for us at the moment. He says, however, the lad can play as a number 10. So, is he coming in because we know that Job is away, perhaps? I don't know. If the lad can stay fit, he could be a decent addition, because even at the age of 24, he has got some experience at this level. When you think about it, he's got more experience than Mundell and Benetti. So I wouldn't say no to him, but the only concern is his fitness. Yeah, you find Jacob, mate, don't worry, pal. So I wouldn't say no to him, but his fitness is a concern because he's had a few injuries. Rosie says, Roker Report understands that Khan's Guinea-Bissau international striker Alexander Mendy is on Weir side, and this is another one that we've heard about that. But yeah, Michael says he must be good. He's been on the bench for Man City. Simon Ainsworth says, underwhelming. Why not the striker from Blackburn, Smorix? Proven championship goal machine. Proven. Tony Hunton says, hi Cabby, does not sound overly impressive. His career seems downwards and sideways. But that doesn't mean he's not good. I remember having Kevin Phillips having a similar career. And Kevin went, are we in for Isaac? Exactly. Absolutely. Exactly. I don't think the Isaac, to be quite honest with you. User says, Sunderland will miss out on Mendy by penny pinching. Wolves looking at him now. Still haven't got the experience in that we need. Southampton, latest club preparing a bid for Clark. Yorkshire Mackem says, Ian seems a decent player apart from the injuries. I mean, I'm really happy about him. Yeah, I mean, we're always getting injured players, isn't it? We've got an Angry John saying here. He says, where's the strikers for God's sake? I'm beginning to get more and more angry by the day. This club is a complete mess. He says, God, the sooner this lot are gone, the better. So there's still fans out there that are really, really fed up with Still Speakman and KLD. User says, oh, where we go, where we go. User says, it doesn't sound like a Speakman buy, but I think it's just internet spiel. Injury prone and Spitzy's done me out all the time. P.S. Hope you've got your sunscreen on in Carlisle. I didn't need it today, to be quite honest with you. David Wood says, he ain't very impressed at all. Bong says, quality player on a free, then yes. If Labrie can keep him fully fit for even a percentage of the season, then it's a no-brainer. Statistically, however, he's a sick note waiting to happen, so why not get him on a 1-year deal? Tinker with the model and offer him 20k a week plus add-ons. Successfully in his season for SAFC, offer him a roll-on contract. Might be talking cack, but this kid is quality, but unfortunately sits on the bench for most of the season. David Joblin says, penny pinch and signing. Just Ray says, hello Cabby, he can't be that good having been at so many clubs. He says, we need proven quality, not wannabe. So a mixed bag there. So now we're going to move on to, of course, Dan Ballard. He signed a new 1-year contract with Sunderland. Me personally, I was absolutely chuffed to bits to nail this lad down. Maybe only just another season, another year. But I'm pleased with that. Hello, Colin Major. Welcome on the chat, mate. Feeling confident for the season. By the way, I contacted Davey the Legend after the show on Monday. Chris, or should I say Silla? Whatever. If I look like Silla, I look like Silla. Ian Curry, how are you doing, mate? Are you well? Are you well? Have you had a busy day? How is your health? Are you fit and healthy? This is just a new show, the MACKEM review show, mate, about just talking about the week back, what the fans have been saying, and look back at some of the headlines as well. This is basically what the fans have been going on about. And this subject at the minute, we're talking about Dan Ballard signing his, extending his contract for another year. That's great, Ian, mate. That's made my night, mate. That's brilliant news, mate. Absolutely fantastic. And you keep that going, son. Absolutely brilliant news there, mate. So about Dan Ballard, Thane says, fantastic news about Dan Ballard. Top centre-back and one of the most important players in our team, of course. He says, he was the main one that I wanted to stay. Because if we lost Ballard, then we would fall apart defensively. So to extend his contract is an absolute massive bonus. Bong says, great news. He's a great player. Just Ray says, fantastic news as he's a brilliant player. Yes, he is. David Joblin says, excellent news on Dan Ballard. SCFC Dreamers says, good signing. I was worried about Ballard. So this makes sense. He thought he was injured, but that's just a minor blip for him. User says, good centre-back Ballard. That is a major plus. Now get some quality alongside him and Sunderland will be a force. Herner the Hunter says, of course, good news. Just Ray says, defo, finally some good news, but we still need 2 quality proven strikers who know the British football system. And Michael Weasley says, if he was that good, he would jump ship to a Premier League side. So there we go. Yeah, so far we have signed Brown and we have signed Ian Pavedo. That's the signings we have got so far, and I think we've got a keeper as well. So we're still waiting for the two strikers to come in. Like, I don't care what anybody says, we still need that striker coming in. And then, of course, I brought the news that Sunderland have signed Ian Pavedo, and I did say before that they're looking to a possible, and this got quite a big response, nearly 4,000 views on that video for this. So And this is what the fans had to say about our latest signing, Pervedo. If I'm pronouncing Pervedo right, let us know if I'm doing it wrong. So Bong says about Pervedo, he says, I reckon this is going to be a great signing. It says Sheffield Wednesday fans thought he was a top class player who can play on the wing and midfield. I think playing alongside Paddy Roberts down the right with Tri Hume and Brown behind him is going to be lethal. There's also talk about Bellingham playing inside left midfield, playing with Jackie Clark and circling behind. He says, it's starting to look good now, like he says, but Lebrieman, exciting times ahead. Yes, MACKEM, we have signed Simon Moore on keeper. That's the one. Just reading up some more on the chat. Darren Halls, D. Hall says, I like the look of Pervada. Sheffield Wednesday wanted him back and Mowbray spoke well of him. Injuries, yes, but Sunderland signed plenty of injured players. Recruitment ligaments and all sorts, yeah. And D. Hall says, great news, Ian. Yeah, absolutely. Great friend of the channel, Ian. Absolutely. Just Ria says, hey, Cabby, Pervedo has had his medical this morning and Mendy having his this afternoon. I just hope it's a double announcement. Well, it wasn't a double announcement, and we're still waiting to hear about Mendy as well. Robert Taylor says, yes, it's all positive. We will be looking at his football history and hopefully a good addition to the squad. As you say, time will, of course, tell. Saul says, if he stays fit, a very good signing indeed. This is where Pervedo we're talking about. Thean says, many things are starting to come together now. He says, Pervedo all but done. Well, he's here. Mendy having a medical today. It's another fan saying Mendy's having a medical today. But this is, even the Sun and Echo said that. And we've inquired about taking Leicester centre-back Ben Nelson on loan. If this lot can keep this up and try not to lose anyone, then we could be looking at looking good. But still, he said, there's a long way to go. Ian says, cheers everyone. Not you're welcome, fella. MACKEM Anth says we should try and get some players from Bordeaux, seeing they're all free now. I've seen that pop up as well. And D Hall says Alan Brown midfield from Preston signed. Yep. Punts says keep him fit. He's a cracker player for you, and that's coming from a Sheffield Wednesday fan. Anthony McLaughlin says seen a few videos of him when he was younger. Of course, he played for England's youth team and a few others. He looks decent, but like people said, if he can stay fit, he's on a free, so it's a good signing. Frisco says Roberts to West Bromwich Albion 500,000. Heard a few weeks ago with these two signings, a centre half would be great. Richard says what's his position, Pervedo, but I think he's like a winger, isn't he? Forward winger. User says not as important as Mendy deal, but hey, it's quality in. That's what Sunderland need and are lacking. Got to be one of faves for challenging now for promotion. I think he is. And Jason says, don't get the glamour at all for Mendy. A good record in the French second division doesn't mean he's going to be up to the championship level. Well, he's got to be here first. Member of the channel, All Welder Ken says, all good news, mate. He was happy with that. Once again, this keeps getting mentioned all the time as well. Jason Black says, decent player when he is not injured. Yeah, aren't they all when they're not injured? Just look at Ross Stewart. Just Ria says, hey Cabby, it's reported by Sun and Echo that Mendy has arrived in his medical. Yep, it must be some long medical. The mad mistake, Terry, he says, another winger. Are we selling some? He says, cheers, Cabby. Just Ria says, hi Cabby, it's a good start, but it has to keep going before the start of the season. Thean, what I'm doing is, Ian, at the moment, I'm looking back at all the comments on my YouTube channel, what the fans have been saying over the posts over the last week and the developments, what's been happening in Sunderland, and I'm reading all the comments out. And Thean's been saying quite a lot of comments as well. Like this Thursday show is all about what's been going on in the last week, any breaking news, and of course what the fans' reactions have been. Reading all the comments, giving everybody a say when I can, getting their word out and their point across of what's been happening. So this is about when we've actually signed Pervado as well. This is what we're talking about at the moment on my YouTube page. Alan Dixon says people won't be saying bad things about Pervado when he's banging in the goals. So he says keep your nappers shut until then. The Ferret reckons Pervado's made of glass. He says lad plays a couple of games, out for a month. We don't need that type of player. He says we've had far too many of them in the past and that hasn't got us far. Billy Morgan says bye Patrick Roberts. We've got too many wingers. Someone is getting offloaded. User says I think we will go up. Just watch this space. He thinks we're going to get promoted. Interesting statement indeed. On the chat we've got Day Hall says Pervado plays predominantly as a winger or as a forward. Pervado is capable of playing on both flanks or through the middle as an attacking midfielder or as a false 9. So the next subject we were talking about, because Brown was the week before, we are going to be talking about, of course, the potential of Ben Nelson to sign for Sunderland, but this would be on a loan, of course. And once again, everybody keeps going back on this Mendy story, don't they? User says, hope Mendy signs. So what is it about Mendy that's attracting the fans to him? That, oh, we've got to get this fella. He always keeps getting mentioned. MACKEM Anth says, are we looking for Clark's replacement? That's been sniffing a lot of people's heads as well, hasn't it? User says, Ben Nelson would be a great capture for Sunderland. He said he's seen him a few times, did well when asked to come in for excellent Leicester side last season. These are the sort of players you need if Sunderland are wanting to get promoted. Idiots don't use Twitter says, it's not bad news. Strength and depth cover required. Louise Brown says, I've never heard any of these players we have signed. It's like going to Aldi. Speakman is an absolute clown, says Louise Brown. Anthony McLaughlin says, just need Mendy to sign and the rest is gravy for me. D Hall says, I find it difficult, he says, to get excited about loanees, especially a 20-year-old centre-back, unless there's a purchase clause. He says, is it cover for Regis to play 3 centre-backs? This young lad won't come on loan unless they promise him minutes on the pitch. That's minutes our young centre-back lads won't get. Sunderland's all about attracting and developing our young players, not young loanees from elsewhere. If we need more depth at centre-back, then we need experience. We have plenty 20-year-olds. Absolutely do we have plenty of 20-year-olds. So that's just someone trying to ring me. I am on live on the show. You'll have to wait. Bong says for development, yes. To stand next to Dan Ballard, no, he says. Thean, of course, says, I saw this yesterday, and he says, to be honest, I wouldn't say no to the lad because he's highly rated at Leicester. And a few sides want him, but personally, I think we need an experienced centre-back to come in. I just think when Ballard's back from injury and he's alongside an experienced leader, it'll only get the best out of him. And finally on the YouTube channel, John's Bit says, Cabby, this regime is baffling. Want top dollar for our players, but at the same time won't pay the going rate for a player, i.e. Striker Mendy coming out. We're bizarre. People at our club, Speakman is a complete waste of space. It will be a great day when he is got rid of. Pig's sick of him now, and I think there's still Sunderland fans out there still not happy with Speakman. they still think that Sunderland are stalling. Um, so I don't know. It's like I say, time is going to tell. Um, and we're going to now talk about. There's a lot of fans that are not happy with the fact, like once again, got a. Ken Walton says, "Cabby fingers crossed for Mendy deal. Hope you're keeping well." I'm fine, mate. Thank you. I'm fine. I'll just put it out to you guys up there now. Would you rather me do the show at a time 7 to 8, or would you rather me do the time 8 o'clock till 9? Is that a better time for you guys? Let me know. I can do either or. Just let us know which one you prefer. But yeah, we're going to talk about the Sunderland shirt again. Once it got released again, didn't it? Was it Friday last week? I think it was. And once again, within an hour, it was completely sold out. Well, for the majority of us, I think there was only kid sizes left. And there's still a lot of Sunderland fans whinging that they're not getting enough in on stock. You know, they should read the lines. This is the most popular strip we've had in years, and yet they're running out of stock within an hour of it being on sale. Now, some people say there's still a lot of tops left in the club shop, but a lot of people can't get to the club shop, so the Sunderland need to pull the fingers out there and get these strips bulked in. People are dying to get hold of them. I'm dying to get hold of one, but the minute I click online, the XL, the mediums, the large, the double XLs, they've just all gone. They've just vanished. MACKEM Anth, yeah, he says the same will happen tomorrow as well for the away shirt. The away shirt will go on for sale tomorrow. And to be honest with you, I think that's just as popular, if not more popular, than the home shirt. So it's literally just pot luck. It's who's first going to click, and I can imagine that's going to be sold within an hour as well. So I think the majority of us, if you don't live near the club shop, I think we're going to have to wait a good few weeks for things to settle down, and then we get our chance of getting hold of one of the shirts. I think that's going to be the most sold shirt, I think, in many years that Sunderland have had, to be quite honest with you. So let's have a look on the story here now about Jack Clark. That understand that Ipswich have not made a bid for Sunderland winger Jack Clark, and there's been like a lot of rumours floating around that Ipswich Town are after Jack Clark, and that's been floating around. So still, it says this Town, he says, have not made a bid for Sunderland winger Jack Clark. He says the Blues were linked with a move for the 23-year-old on Tuesday, and as previously reported, there is some interest for Jack Clark. He says, they said, however, we understand Clark is just one of a number of left-sided forwards on Ipswich Town's list of potential recruits, and as it stands, not at the top of with any contact with the Black Cats, very much provisional at this stage. So I think they are sort of sniffing, but it says Town are looking to add to their left-sided forward ranks this summer. A deal to sign Hull City's Jayden Pelong, having recently fallen through the former England under-21s international. He says York-born Clark joined, of course, the Leeds United Academy in 2009 and went on to make his first steps in senior football with the Whites in 2018. Pastor Alex BPA. How you doing, Ashton? Going to make his first 5 starts in and 20 sub-appearances, scoring 2 goals. He says his performances for the West Yorkshiremen led to an £8,500,000 move to Tottenham in July in 2019. After that, Town's boss Kieran McKenna had left the North Londoners. Spells on loan, back at Leeds, QPR, Stoke and Sunderland followed before the switch to Wearside was made permanent in July 2022, signing a 4-year deal. It says Tottenham were reported to have a 40% sell-on from that deal, although we understand the percentage is actually 25%. Last year, West Ham United and Southampton have previously been linked with Jack Clarke, who scored 15 times and recorded 4 assists from last season. He says overall for Sunderland, the former England under 21 under England 20 international has made 88 starts and 4 sub appearances, scoring 26 times. Town are continuing discussions with Blackburn regarding the sign of forward Sammy Szmodics. And Szmodics is going to definitely prefer to go to Ipswich, being in the Premier League or being with Sunderland in the Championship. There's a no-brainer there. He says, but the clubs are understood to be edging closer to completing the deal with a final agreement still to be reached, despite negotiations having been ongoing since before our early report, with Rovers having rebuffed a number of Town players. So Ipswich Town, yes, they seem to be sniffing a bit around Jack Clarke, but there's also other players on the rebound, on the radar, should I say. Shout Jesus, says my son Ashton, Pastor Alex. Shout Jesus, he says. Well, hopefully we're seeing Jesus when we get these signings over the bloody line. Former LUFC and SCFC youngster Ethan Kakosha has signed for KF Rahoveki. Dougie Stewart, hope you're well, Cabby. Thanks for the stream. No, you're welcome, mate. He says the 21-year-old left Sunderland in the summer of 2023 and has spent the last year in non-league football. And of course, there's the headlines as well. Breaking news: Bordeaux will lose their professional status as a club. Players' contracts will be terminated and the training centre will close. And this has sparked a reaction from the fans, basically saying, fire sale and we're sniffing again. Check Primark, they might have a striker. They're going for the cheap option again, that's what the Sunderland fans are saying. That's what Mike Elliott says. Terry Delaney says, of course, that is sad. Tebek HD, oi everyone, first live stream, how are we all? Yeah, we're doing well, mate. Thanks for popping on. Hope you're feeling well. This is about Bordeaux going to be no more. Chris says, we were linked heavily with one of their centre forwards. He says, such a mess, and for so many people losing their jobs, bad management destroying clubs. David Martin says about Bordeaux, he says, if we hold off Mendy and wait for these lads, we'll be screwed because their agents will get better deals elsewhere. And someone's put a funny picture up saying, serves you right for Madja. Of course, Madja went to Bordeaux, didn't he? When our first season kicked off in League One. Yeah, this is what said, is that when Madja got sold to? It certainly was. On the chat, yeah, I watched a video on that Topi Kazikinen. The lad has amazing pace. Just somebody saying, well, it's past it now, that Sunderland FC supporters are reminded the SCFC store will close at an earlier time of 6 p.m. this evening. You've already known if you've been there. Bong says, how did Bordeaux get into that mess? Overspending and mass wages, perhaps. Could be. I still think footballers are overpaid. And now 4 hours ago, Sunderland News and Banter has posted Sunderland offering less than 1 million, not even a quarter of what the club wanted for Mendy. He says, however, SM Khan have been hoping to get as much as 5 million for Mendy, who was League Two's top scorer last season. The French club are beginning to realise that won't be happening. But they still want better than what has been that's been proposed so far. So this is going to be like up and down with Mendy, isn't it? And it's reporting that the fact, say, a few days ago, Alexander Mendy went very public with his desire to join Sunderland this summer. And all the Sunderland fans got excited, didn't they? Including myself. He shared his excitement, talked about being keen to travel for a medical and taking his family to England, and spoke about our manager Regis Le Brie. He says, however, SM Khan had been hoping to get as much as €5 million for Mendy, who was League Two's top scorer last season. The French club are beginning to realise that, of course, it won't be happening, but they still want better than what has been proposed for. So once again, is this Sunderland stalling because of splashing the cash? Who knows? Well, Dougie says if we want Mendy, we've got to pay the money. Well, yeah, we absolutely must pay it. There's no ways and deans about it. What else have I? Yeah. Still one better. France 3 Normandy explained clubs simply don't want to pay as much as Khan want for a 30-year-old. So there's going to have to be a major compromise. And this is what the problem is. He's 30-year-old. We don't want to pay €5 million for someone who's nearly coming to the end of the career. That Sunderland are thinking that's too much money to spend. Would it be too much money to spend if we've got Mendy in and he's a massive hit and he helps the club get a promotion? That's what I'm talking about. League 2 French side, I think, Bong, if I'm correct, yeah. Tebek HD, very happy with Ian Poveda. Yep. A few people are saying that. Yeah, League 2. Let's go back on some of the comments about Mendy as well, because this seems to be the tasty thingy. It says, Mike says, oh, well, we've got Clark and Roberts doing what tribes in the Amazon rainforest know what they do best. Cut in and lose it. Yeah, 5 million for a 30-year-old Bong, and he just says, nah, we'll leave it. So do you think it's just too much for a 30-year-old? I think Mendy would be good seeing a video of him, but is it just the price which is the problem? Mark SAFC says, offer them 2 million, then see what happens. If not, we move on. Maybe he's 30, but if he comes here and gets 20 goals, he's paid for himself more than quadruple. We need that experience. He says it's just my humble opinion. And yeah, Tibek, he says gets 20 goals plus would and playoffs. I mean, yeah, of course it would be. It's just a no-brainer. Eric says 5 million for a French League 2 player. Dream on. There will be better deals out there. Sunderland have to be patient. Yes, they have to be patient, but it's getting ever nearer to the start of the season, and we have to get these players bedded in when they come in as well. So that is the other option. He says, Mark Davis says, for the money that they want, we could sign Lawrence Shankland from Hearts, a far superior forward than this guy. David Johnson says, he went to Caen for a free as well. They should accept €1 million because Mendy is 30 years old. And there, once again, his age is getting mentioned. Tom Little says, and so the striker saga continues. I mean, personally, if we don't get any strikers in, then I think we will struggle because it's all about scoring goals. And that's been a massive issue for Sunderland the last few seasons. Bar from having that young Scarlet from Manchester United, Amad Diallo. Anyway, back to the chat as well. Mackham says team is crying out for experience, and 4 million is not a lot if he helps us get us promoted. And like I said, that is the flip side of that, isn't it? Of course it is. Tibek as well says the more we take on getting a player, what happened last season. Yep. Bradley says 5 million for a 30-year-old. In the French League 2, Broadhead went for 1 million from a Prem side at 24-year-old. Yeah, Tibek says the last 3 seasons we never had a number 9. Tony Hurd says we be losing him. We are so greedy. It's a shame on the owners. If we stop buying shirts, what will happen then? He thinks the club's just focusing on the shirt sales and stuff, and now they're pulling the wool over our eyes, thinking that we're not going to get a striker, but it's all right. We've got a really good strip out there. Barry says they do right. 30-year-old move on to the next one. We're either signing kids or fogies that has-beens over the hill. Gary Hughes makes a point as well. Says Ross Stewart went for 10 million. Second, third division player with us and injury prone. If he scores 20 goals a season, £5 million is a snip. But I doubt we will pay anywhere near that. A lot of negotiation to go, we feel. So could that be why we're hearing a silence at the moment? Are the clubs negotiating? It could be that, I suppose. But according to the Echo, he's been having a medical in Sunderland. Who do you believe? D Hall says Harry Kane went for 100 million at a 29-year-old. I wouldn't pay $1 million for Harry Kane. The way he played at the bloody Euros. Brian Stewart says if we are not going to pay it or a bit more, move on. Though he would have been a good buy because he seems to know where the goal is. Anthony Miller says just pay it for fuck's sake. Just pay it. Gaz Newis Cawthorne says I thought he was out of contract. Chris reckons he is signing. Mendy is signing. He says it's just a matter of when, and he posted that 3 hours ago. We're talking about Mendy here because that's what seems to be on a lot of the fans' taste buds at the moment. A lot of them fans are keen, wanting to see Mendy go over the line and come to Sunderland. Connor says 5 million for a 30-year-old League 2 striker is silly. I do not blame us for not going over 2 million, to be honest. Even the player wants out. On the chat, Kiefer with 31 on a free. Mandy 31 million. On the chat again, over opinionated says questions or opinions. Who was better in goal, Patterson or McLaughlin for us? That's a good question, that. Who was better in goal, Patterson or McLaughlin? I'll let the chat have a go at that one. Alan reckons, don't expect this deal to happen. We won't pay 1 million for a 30-year-old. We won't get any profit on him when we sell him on in the future. He wants to come to us, but we don't want to pay for him. The deal, he says, will soon be dead. Christoph Brun says, reading these comments, he says, I honestly don't know why some of you even support Sunderland. He says, just pay it. We are so greedy. He says, do you realise he plays in the French League 2 and is 30 years old? The same asking price as Jay Stansfield from Fulham, who scored 13 championship goals last season. Christian Speakman definitely knows a lot more about what he's doing than a hell of a lot of the Sunderland fans do. It's called bartering, Jack says. He says, everybody does it. On the Patterson and McLaughlin, Pato for me says to be. Ian Curry says, don't and never ever rated Patterson. Oh, I see you have got this spanner next to your name, Ian Curry. So didn't you mention before that you weren't a moderator or something? But yeah, it's definitely on there. I can see it, mate. You're absolutely up and ready there. Trevor Miller about Mendy says, if we got a problem, go for how many goals he scores this season. Over 15 and they get paid more than $1 million. Sorted. And to all them so-called die-hard fans, this is where we are at. Pay what we can afford and keep to the rules. Or would you rather have points deducted? We've got a great squad coming together. Forward sorted. Need a centre-half to go with Ballard. But keep what we've got. He said Sunderland proud, he says. David says, somehow, he says, I assume that the fee would be agreed, he says, before we invited him over for a medical. 5 million too much, but if you believe transfer market, we paid 2.5 million for Rusin, 500k for Himia, and 800k for Mayenda, neither of which have done a lot. Can't see why we wouldn't pay a couple of million for someone who has a proven record of scoring a bit in the lower league. Back in the live chat as well, MACKEM answers Mendy's contract ends in 2026. Tibek says, would you keep 09 at the back? Bong on the chat says, unproven striker. Who would be high on wages? Stall. He says, I can understand why. It's not FCFC that are greedy, but it's Khan. Once again, it's playing the banter game, isn't it? Dougie Stewart on the live chat says, we need a forward who can hold things up and bring others into play. He says, Mendy fits the bill for me. John Nesbitt for Mendy reckons it's dead in the water. He says, on this occasion, I think the club should dig their heels in for a few days. Then if there's no contact, he says, just move on into the sunset. Stephen says, the deal is to pretend to the fans they're interested in signing players and spending money. And somebody laughs at that comment there. John about Mendy says, John Scullion says, this is the thing on Sunderland club page. It says, Sunderland are chasing this player and another one the next day. Wait until the transfer in almost past the medical and ready to sign, because it builds the hopes up of all the fans. He says, just wait to see the player is holding the scarf he's above his head. He says, because 80% of the times, he says, a lot of these headlines by newspapers and whatnot are just nowhere near truthful. Over Opinionated Live on the chat says, I look on Twitter for transfer gossip and whatever Captain Fishpaste says. I know it's going the opposite way. Blank says, because of the TV money situation in France, the market value of players over there for teams playing in smaller teams will crash. Brian Cragg says, well, there's a surprise. Once again, Sunderland stalling to pay the money for him. John says he could be using us to get a better deal from the Arab club. Iniat Shaw is on a free, is that right? That's Tibek live on the chat. Gordon Seymour says, get another centre half and get 09 the centre forward job, investing stuff. Alison Lynch reckons we're a bunch of tight asses, to be quite honest with you. Brian Cummins says, seems a sensible opening offer. He says, doesn't see the problem. He's a €2 million player max. MACKEM Ann says, what worries me about everyone wanting Mendy is we will end up in a Will Grigg situation. And of course, he is right there. You look back to the Sun Until I Die series, we were so excited, we've got to get Will Grigg, We brought him in at a ridiculously overpriced, and he was just an absolute white elephant. He was just not on fire. He wasn't even smoking. And yet we paid way over the odds. He didn't even look interested when he came to the club. And but this is the gamble you pay as the players, and that sometimes you buy a player and it's an absolute gem. it's the risk you take. Tom Little says the striker saga continues. There's more and more fans just literally just getting a bit impatient. They feel as if we're going we're going round in circles. And here's another headline as well. So Sunderland wanting this player. Who would you want instead of Mendy? Well, this, yeah, I'll put that to the people on the chat. Who do you guys want instead of Mendy? Case of who's still available. I would like the striker from Blackburn, but I don't think there's a cat and hell chance he's going to come to Sunderland if Blackburn Rovers are sniffing around. If Ipswich Town is sniffing around, should I say? So Sunderland wants him, meaning Sunderland are wanting this player. Sunderland is paying close attention to Jeremiah Rakoba, and an offer may arrive these days. So I've not heard of that player at all. So apparently, Stu Matthews says, so this is the second winger we've been linked with in the last 10 minutes, on top of all the other wingers we already have. He says, he says, I think the club's agents are just throwing a name into bumping the prices up. Stephen says, I'd be all for it if he ends up being as good as what his dad is. Sunderland says, John says, we love a winger, does Sunderland AFC. So there we go. We're nearly coming to the end of the show. I'll put it guys out to you here. Are you happy with me doing the show on a Thursday 7 to 8, or would you rather me do the show 8 till 9? Let us know in your comments what you think. Is 8 to 9 a better time? Is it getting you more chance to get in and get settled and have your tea? Or is 7 to 8 okay? Over Opinionator says, remember when we were in League One and got a Bayern Munich German under-21 prolific striker and we got to Xhaka? Yeah, I mean, we've had some stinkers. I mean, was it Raid Preaker as well? I remember him. Son of a Preaker man, they were all singing and that when we got him. I can count. I mean, how many players have we had that have just been an absolute disaster? It's all about getting the right players in. Right, so that is me for now for this Thursday's second show of the MACKEM review show. Thanks for everybody tuning into the chat as usual. I do appreciate it. And well done, Cabby. Why not 7 till 9? Because I'm starving and I want my tea. And when I finish at 9 o'clock, the night is nearly done. Plus, I want to chill out a little bit after being at work in my taxi all day as well. So thanks for everybody in the chat. Tibet, El Bong, Dougie, Ian Waller, Mackham Anth, Over Opinionator. Good show, Cabby. Keep it going. Thank you. Dougie says, yes, keep this stream up, Cabby. It's great having you on 2 times a week. Yeah, do appreciate all your positive comments. And I'm sure we'll get more viewers coming in as we keep on doing this weekly. And as well, of course, when the season starts as well. Ian Curry says, in my day, we were going to sign Maradona and got Claudio Magaroni. Maradona, eh? Well, if only. Take care, guys, says Tebek. Yeah, thank you, every single one of you. And don't forget, I'll be doing the live match commentary when Sunderland take on Blackpool. I think it's this Saturday. But don't forget, there'll be loads more videos. Every day there's a video gets posted. Any news, I'll keep you updated. So have a great Thursday evening, guys. Much love from myself.